Hello and welcome to this very special gathering. My name is Bhaskar and I am here with a few esteemed members of the singing community to talk about a couple of legends who very sadly passed away over the past couple of weeks. Everybody has obviously heard about this. Lata Mangeshkar and Bappi Lahiri both passed away within a couple of weeks of each other, very, very sadly. And I think it's fair to say that the contribution they had to the Indian film industry and beyond was huge. Now, Lataji was widely known as the Nightingale of India. She had a career spanning 70 years and had sung in over 30 Indian languages and some foreign languages as well. Bappi Lahiri was a music director and a singer who was very fondly known for his love of gold, but was also largely responsible for bringing in the disco era to Hindi cinema, but also had a much wider range, which we're looking to explore today. So I'll just quickly go around and introduce everybody who is on the call. We'll start with the person who has arranged this call and for who it's happening, Aman Dhillon, founder of ReelN.
Hi Bhaskar. Hey. Hi everyone.
We have Gargi Banerjee, an acclaimed classical vocalist and mentor, founder of Musical Vibgyor Academy, which is successfully running online music classes all across India, the UK, the US, Germany, and Australia, and having more than 100 plus students. Hi Gargi.
Namaskar. Hello everyone. Thanks for having me here.
We have Mayuk Gain, who is an actuary working in the city by profession, but who has trained in Hindustani classical music. And Mayuk, you believe that music has kept the right side of your brain alive?
That's right. Hello.
We have UK-born Ashish Mittal, for who music started as a hobby, but it's turned into a passion.
Hi Bhaskar, thank you so much for having me, and thanks Aman as well. It's wonderful to be here and great to meet all the other singers as well. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us. And last but not least, we have Gurvinder, a die-hard fan of all things Bollywood, in particular the music. Now, Gurvinder runs an Antakshi group every week, which was started during the COVID lockdown, and grew up with the music of Bappi Da.
Yes, hello everyone. Yes, thank you for the intro, and it's a pleasure connecting with all of you today, and I look forward to contributing today.
Great. So thank you, all of you, for taking your time and joining us today. It's really appreciated, and I'm looking forward to this call where we actually it's to reminisce about the great memories that we have of these two legends. And I thought a good place to start would be the earliest memories of Lataji and Bappi Da. And for myself, I grew up in the UK in the 80s. It's what I call the audio cassette and the VHS era. Needless to say, we had lots of audio cassettes at home, and a lot of them were Lataji cassettes. One of the first cassettes I remember playing was it was a combination cassette of Lataji and Mangeshkar, mixed songs from that. And alongside of that, when we were younger, before we had all the satellite TV on BBC Two, there were lots of live performances that were shown. A lot of performances from the 70s of Lataji. And there was a program called Movie Mehal on Channel 4, which used to show old Hindi film songs. So that's where my earliest memories of Lataji came from. And with Bappi Da, I think it's from the VHS era, it's from the films at home. And one of the earliest films I remember really watching was repeatedly when I was a child was Namak Halal. And that is possibly one of it, had a complete blockbuster soundtrack by Bappi Da. But we're going to come back to that a little bit later on. So if I could just kind of go around the group, can I start with you, Gargi? What are your first memories of Lataji and Bappi Da?
So yes, we used to hear Chitrahar on TV, and it used to had all the songs. And Lata Mangeshkar, she was there every time we used to switch on our TV, and that's I think 80s. So kind of the first song that I used to sing, like I knew that she is Lata Mangeshkar, that was Maine Pyar Kiya's Aate Jaate. So it was a wonderful song, and still I love to sing that song. I love to hear that song. And Maine Pyar Kiya was, I think, the song was the crispy of that movie. And every time we saw that movie, and Salman Khan was there, Baghi was there, and Aate Jate, Kabutar Ja, the songs were amazing. Still, they are going on. So yes, the fond memories are. And yes, we just grew up, and I think Lata Mangeshkar ji is just like a mentor for us. We're just singing. We have learned a lot being a Bengali song or Hindi songs. Yes, everywhere Lata Mangeshkar ji is there. Bappita, yes, we just love to dance on his tunes like Jimmy, 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 Aja, Aja, Aja. So yes, I would love to sing that song today. So that's the fondest memory I have. And still, I think we are there or not, but the songs will be there everywhere, every time, all the eras.
Definitely, definitely. I think one thing we can say about both of them is, regardless of how old you are, you know their music. Even kids today will know Bappi Lahiri through the songs that he's recreated. Even I think the last one was Pankas in Balgi 3, which was one of his earlier songs. So Gurvinder, can I come to you? What were your earliest memories of Lataji and Bappita?
Okay, I'm going back to the 70s here because I'm a child of the 70s. I remember we used to live in New Delhi, and that's where I was born. And I remember going to my Mamaji's house, which was just opposite our house, and going into his dining room, and they had Vivid Bharti on. It was a Sunday morning, and I distinctly remember this. It was 1974 or 5. And why do I remember this? Because it was my first ever recollection of Lata Mangeshkar, and the song which was playing was from a film called Prem Parvat, and it was Ye Dil Aur Unki Nigahon Ke Saye. When I heard that song, I was instantly transported from the living room of a very busy New Delhi to, let's say, a hill region, Shimla or the Himachal Pradesh, etc. And every time, I've heard that song, and it's become part of my life. It's become part of my DNA. It really moves me. I can be wherever I am in the world. I'm instantly transported into the Wadiyan of Himachal Pradesh by that song, and it's such a beautiful song. The film didn't do that well, but Lataji's rendition remained alive. People still hear that song even now, and I believe they will hear it for the foreseeable future as well. That's my first memory. And then subsequently, I became a very die-hard fan of Lata Mangeshkar ji. I cannot even describe how big a fan I am. I have a personal collection of 175 LPs, which I've accumulated, along with about 300 CDs, which predominantly are Lata Mangeshkar and other singers as well from Bollywood. So that was my first recollection. As far as Bappita is concerned, I am one of his biggest fans. I mean, I cannot conceive my childhood growing up in the early 80s, watching disco dancer. I think no child who's born in India or elsewhere, who loves Hindi cinema as we do, can conceive of disco in Hindi films without the music of Bappi Lahiri. And that film, when it came out, it was such a rage. I remember in Delhi, all the kids, teenagers or college going kids were completely mad about it. It was the equivalent of, I guess, Maine Pyar Kiya, which Gargi was mentioning in the 90s, or but for the 80s. And subsequently, I became a very big fan of Bappi Lahiri, and I sing his songs. I make time for his music, and he's it's just such a great loss because in my humble opinion, he's a genius, and we've lost a genius very early on. And I think the industry will really look back on this and see a great talent's been lost before his time. And I would like to sing a song maybe later on if you give me the opportunity. Sure. From in fact, 2 songs from Bappita if you give me the opportunity. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what you say is about disco dancer in particularly. If anything, at least you can know that the title track from Disco Dancer taught children all over the world at least 5 letters of the alphabet. D se hota hai dance.
Yeah. Yes.
And so on. But again, I agree with you about what you say about him being a musical genius. I think one of the things with Bappi Da is he's sometimes unfairly referred to as the disco king. But I know with some of the songs that we're going to be listening to today, it will cover his range because there's so much melody in his songs as well, which sometimes get a little bit ignored, maybe. Ash, can we come to you yourself next? So, what are your earliest memories of Lataji? I mean, you grew up in the UK as well, is that right?
Okay, so actually, Bhaskar, what you said connected with me. So, growing up in the UK in the early 80s, a lot of my connection with India was through music that we were listening to on cassettes.
Yeah. And
after a period of time, those cassettes would get worn out. And this one particular cassette that I had given to me by my mamaji was stuck on a particular song, Chalte Chalte. So the only way I could listen or play that tape was to listen to that one song on a loop, effectively. Although it was only many years later that I then came to know that Bappi was the composer of that particular song.
Right.
But yeah, very fond memories of listening to their music as I've grown up, as you've all shared, and really looking forward to listening to all of you share your songs a bit later.
And with any sort of memories of Lataji as well? Sorry, was the Chalte Chalte the Pakiza Chalte Chalte or the Chalte Chalte? Chalte Chalte.
Chalte Chalte Mere Ye Geet from Kishore Kumar.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say any specific memories as such. I mean, a lot of her music now is enshrined in a lot of what we listen to, a lot of the movies we watch. So I wouldn't say there's a standout memory, but I think it would be impossible to take away Bollywood movies without her impressions. So lasting is that impression. So for me, today is about obviously paying respect to everything they've achieved, but also celebrating their lifetime, because I think they've both achieved so much. So it's as much about paying respect as about celebrating everything they've achieved.
Definitely. Mayuk ji, what are your first memories of Lataji and Bappi Da?
I think it will rhyme with a lot of things people have already said, but I'll start with Lataji first because it is same as Gargiji. I probably belong to similar generation, but it is Maine Pyar Kiya. But the song is Dil Diwana Bin Sajna Ke Manena. Because I remember this when it came out, it was played in every Durga Puja pandal. Wherever you go, wherever you just, you go from one place to the other, you'll hear the same song. And those days, there is no sound pollution or any issues or anything like that. They used to play big mics 24 hours during those 7-8 days. And these days just came to my, just got stuck in my mind. And I didn't realize that was Lata Mangeshkar until that. And then when I started becoming conscious about music and who's singers, etc., then I realized that was Lata Mangeshkar ji. So that's Lataji. Bappi Da is actually a more interesting story. That's so those days when I was like literally 4 or 5 years old, we were staying in a small town near Darjeeling, north of Bengal. And that time, this movie came out. It's a Bengali movie called Omor Shongi. Okay, and again, it is like there was a lottery shop next to our house, and they used to play this song again and again, something like in a loop. And there's one sentence called "Juge Juge Ami Tumhari." And this thing got stuck, and every time it's this Juge Juge song is going on. Juge Juge song is going on. Again, until late, I didn't realize it was composed by Bappi Da. It was sung by Kishore Kumar. I think I'm going to sing that song anyway today, just to demonstrate that the range of Bappi Da, because people remember him as a disco king and all this beats stuff. But and also, if there is enough time, probably some classical songs which Bappi composed. The only time, but it's fantastic memories. Definitely, and it's revelation only after 22 decades that this was composed by Bappi, or this was sung by Lataji. So this really creates a good memory.
I'm with you on that. I mean, like I said, I grew up here, but one of the first Bengali films I saw as a child was Guru Dakshina, which again was with the music of Bappi Lahiri. When I didn't realize when you hear those songs that they're composed by the Disco King, because here, with there being mainly Hindi films, these were the songs that I heard when I went to India for the first time. So yeah, the range is something else.
I think we are a bit lucky / privileged because he was a Bengali
Definitely.
born, so we got a bit more share of his contribution to
I think
our industry as well.
I think Bengali people can really appreciate Bappida's talent. Obviously, people who only listen to the Hindi songs can, but I think there was just a whole different range out there in the Bengali film industry as well.
Indeed.
Aman, last but not least, what are your memories of Lataji and Bappida?
So I actually, just listening to everyone, kind of reminded me of a few others, but I'll share a couple. I think with Lataji, I think before I was born, she was singing. After, a long time, decades, her music career spanned over such a lengthy time. And I think we were so blessed that we had this Nightingale of India, she's called, with us. And God bless her soul. But she, I think one of my memories is I was Maine Pyar Kiya, great, and I kind of grew up around that time. But DDLJ, I think, Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, I think I fell in love with Shah Rukh Khan anyway when I went to watch this in the cinema. I think you don't. When at that age we didn't go to see many films in the cinema, it was a very, very big treat. And to go and see Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge and then see Tujhe Dekha To Ye Jana Sanam on the screen, and just the picturization of it, the song, the music, I think I had that on repeat for such a long time afterwards. I bought the cassette as well. And then at school we had dance performances for Diwali, and I remember my friends had chosen another song, and I was so adamant that I wanted to dance to that song that I kind of went off and did a dance by myself. So we had like this assembly, and we had like my friends who I wasn't very happy with at that moment. We all made up afterwards, but they did a song, they danced to one song, and I remember my dance for Tujhe Dekha To Ye Jana Sanam, and I actually still remember some of the dance moves. But I remember I came out, my photograph was in the school magazine, and my mum's probably still got that somewhere, but that was one of my kind of fond memories of that particular song. And I think for Bappida, just he's so iconic. You just know, if you see an image of him anywhere, you see all the gold and everything, straight away you know who it is. And I think one of my memories as a child, we used to go to Southall, every few weeks for shopping and for food. We'd go to Sagoo's for food, and we'd go shopping in Southall. And my treat for going along and being well behaved for the whole day was a Stardust magazine. And that was that. We didn't have social media then. We didn't have access. If we got the odd interview on like Channel 4, it was like, everybody be quiet, we need to record this, someone's on TV. And Stardust was kind of my way of knowing who these people were. And I remember thinking Lataji's voice was like a child, and you see this woman, I mean, she was probably obviously a lot younger then, and you just think, even though she aged, her voice still remained flawless and childlike. And with Bappida, I think I just remember seeing images of him probably in Stardust, thinking, this magnificent personality, and with his disco numbers and his music, and he just went so well with that kind of image. You just knew it was him. And you kind of think, oh, I don't think I ever saw him wear the same gold again either. So it was like, wow, his gold collection. But he, a lot of his songs were like really easy to pick up lyrics as well. Is it Tamma Tamma?
Tamma Tamma
From
Thanedar.
Sorry, yeah. And then they had the remake of that. And Ooh La La, we have to talk about that. Dirty Picture. It was, that kind of very, the words and the choruses, you could pick them up, and everyone felt like dancing, or they feel like dancing when you hear them. And in my growing up days, we didn't have I didn't have hi-fi systems until a bit later, these record players, and you know, these kind of things. What we used to do, we actually used to put the video cassettes in and turn the music up from the films and like Disco Dancer, and we probably look like crazy people now when I think back. You know, we'd be dancing, me and my brothers, in the living room, and we'd be trying to follow their moves and, you know, go along with what they were doing. And it was just on this small TV screen, and we'd put the volume up really high. So there's so many memories, and you think, gosh, you know, their music, because their music careers span just such a long time, there are so many memories, and we're just so thankful and grateful. And I'm so glad that you suggested to have a little get together today, just to kind of, you know, in memory of them. And, you know, it's just our small contribution to kind of our love for them and the music that they gave us. So thank you.
I think you picked up on a couple of really good points there. I think one of the things we've mentioned already is the disco king status for Bappi. And I think you're right, it's stuck because it goes so well with his personality. Personally, I don't remember ever seeing Bappi without a smile on his face. He's always got this really big smile, all his golden. So I think that disco king just stuck because of that. And what you're saying about Lataji as well, I mean, the songs that have been mentioned largely were like Dil Divana, Maine Pyar Kiya, Dil Wale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge. And you said that she had a really young voice, but can you imagine she was in her 60s at that point? And still she sounded like nobody could tell. You had somebody who was in their 60s, and obviously she carried on singing well into her 70s, you know, for really young heroines. So they're both, I think it's fair to say, they're both irreplaceable losses. But rather than dwell on the sad side, we want to celebrate the good side. And yeah, I think I've spoken enough. So let's get to some music. So Gargiji, can we start with you, please?
Absolutely. So, thank you so much.
What would you like to sing first?
We'll give tribute to Lataji first with her my favorite Bengali song. That's Jare Ude Jare Paki. So we'll be singing that first.
Do we get some of the Hindi version as well?
Yes, but with the different song.
Just one
because okay. the time is limited. So yes.
Sure. No worries.
Genre. Yes. Jare jare ude jare paki purano pranir mela shesh hoilo bela ar keno miche tore bedhe rakhi jare jare ude jare paki পুরানো প্রাণীর মেলা শেষ হইলো বেলা আর কেন মিছে তোরে বেঁধে রাখি যারে From here only I just start the Hindi version because the time is limited with us. So that's पिया तो से नैना लागे रे पिया तो से नैना लागे रे नैना लागे रे जाने क्या हो अब आगे रे चितारी सखियों ने मारी भीगी मोर साड़ी हाय हाय तन बदन मोरा कांपे थर थर दिनक दिन दिन दिनक दिन दिन पिया तो से नैना लागी रे नैना लागी रे जाने क्या हो अब आगे रे नैना लागी रे पिया तो से रात को जब चांद चमके जल उठे तन मेरा मैं कहूँ मत करो चंदा इस गली का फेरा रात को जब चांद चमके जल उठे तन मेरा मैं कहूँ मत करो चंदा इस गली का फेरा आना मोरा सैया जब चमकना उस रात को जब मिलेंगे तन मन पिया तो से नैना लगे पिया हो पिया हो पिया तो से नैना लगे रे जाने क्या हो कब आगे रे नैना लागे रे पिया तो से नैना लागे रे Thank you. So now I think that's to celebrate Bappida's song. We would like to sing Jimmy Jimmy Aja Aja.
That would be amazing.
So, thank you. Jimmy, 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 aja, aja, aja. Jimmy, 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 aja, aja, aja. आजा रे मेरे साथ ये जागी जागी रात पुकारे तुझे सुना दे वही धुन जिम्मी 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 आजा 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 जिम्मी 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 आजा 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 रे मेरे साथ ये जागी जागी रात पुकारे तुझे सुना दे वही धुन जिम्मी आजा 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 जिम्मी आजा 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 So these are the tunes that we used to dance with. The disco dancer, Jimmy Jimmy. ऐसे गुमसुम तुम हो क्यों खामोशी तोड़ते जीना क्या दिल हार के पागलपन छोड़ते ऐसे गुमसुम तुम हो क्यों खामोशी तोड़ते जीना क्या दिल हार के पागलपन छोड़ दे आजा रे मेरे साथ ये जागी जागी रात पुकारे तुझे सुना दे वही धुन जिम्मी 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 आजा 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 जिम्मी 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 आजा 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 रे मेरे साथ ये जागी जागी रात पुकारे तुझे सुना दे वही धुन जिम्मी आजा. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gargiji. Those songs just brought back so many memories. Obviously, being Bengali, growing up with Jare Ure Jare Pakhi, which I think was remade in Hindi as well. I think it was used in the film Jare Ure Jare Panchi. And then Piya To Se Na Lage Re from Guide. What a song! What a song! And one of the things, I don't know if this applies to the rest of you as well, but with Lataji's songs, just listening to them quite kind of casually has sparked interest. So that actually got kind of increased my interest in semi-classical music, sort of from Bollywood and beyond. But I didn't realize at the time it was just, oh, this is a nice song. But then listening to it, I found Lataji made things like classical music really accessible and really kind of easy to listen to. And then, of course, you got us all dancing with Jimmy, Jimmy, Aja, Aja. Now, I just Googled that as you were singing, and believe it or not, it actually comes up. The first result that comes up is Jimmy, Jimmy, Aja, Aja by Bappi Lahiri film. You Don't Mess with the Zohan, an Adam Sandler film, rather than Disco Dance. So the song was reused in one of the scenes there. And it's actually, so that shows, like I say, you don't always realize the legacy of Bappi, how far it actually goes. But that song was reused in a Hollywood film.
Yes.
And obviously, Disco Dancer itself, what a film, what a film. Right, can we move on to Ash? Can we move on to you next?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Bhaskar-ji. And I would just like to say, actually, most of you know that I learn music from Gargiji, and so despite many interactions, I don't have the chance often to listen to her sing. So it's actually a real treat to just be able to sit back and just to listen to her, because it's an amazing talent. So so the first song, as I think I mentioned earlier, that I wanted to share, and it touches on the point you were mentioning, which is we think of Bappi as being the king of disco, which he certainly was, and it matches his personality, but there was a very wide range of music that he duly takes credit for. So I'd just like to humbly try and share one of those songs, which I think is very appropriate given the reason why we're here today. If I need to adjust the volume, do let me know.
चलते चलते मेरे ये गीत याद रखना, कभी अलविदा ना कहना, कभी अलविदा ना कहना। चलते चलते मेरे ये गीत याद रखना, कभी अलविदा ना कहना, कभी अलविदा ना कहना। रोते हंसते बस यूं ही तुम गुनगुनाते रहना, कभी अलविदा ना कहना, कभी अलविदा ना कहना।
I'm sticking to one language, by the way. While the background music plays, these songs were so, brought out so many different emotions, happiness, sadness.
प्यार करते करते हम तुम कहीं खो जाएंगे, इन बहारों के आंचल में थक के सो जाएंगे। प्यार करते करते तुम कहीं खो जाएंगे, इन्हीं बहारों के आंचल में थक के सो जाएंगे। सपनों का फिर भी तुम यूं ही सजाते रहना, कभी अलविदा ना कहना, कभी अलविदा ना कहना। चलते चलते मेरे ये गीत याद रखना, कभी अलविदा ना कहना, कभी अलविदा ना कहना.
Thank you so much, Ash. That was great.
Thank you so much.
It's one of those songs. Just want to interrupt before you move on to your second song, but that's one of those songs that is really almost sums up in some respects the legacy of the actual Bappi Da for me, because that was a song I knew as a child. I had no idea where it was from. I had no idea which film it was from. But obviously it's a song that everybody knows. Karan Johar named a film after it. It's just such an amazing legacy that Bappi Da has with songs like that.
No, absolutely. And the second song, which, if time allows, I'd like to share.
Please.
Again, I can confess to not knowing, in this particular case, that this was composed by Bappi Ji until very recently. When you sent out the email, I started frantically Googling all of the songs he'd composed to see if there's any song that I knew. And this one came up. So I'm just going to find it on YouTube. Give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm. So you very recently found out about this thing. We're talking about the past week.
That's my confession.
प्यार मांगा है तुम्हीं से, ना इनकार करो. प्यार मांगा है तुम्हीं से, ना इनकार करो. पास बैठो जरा आज तो इकरार करो. प्यार मांगा है तुम्हीं से, ना इनकार करो.
I'm suffering with a slight cold and blocked nose, so my apologies. There's only so much hot water you can drink in the morning.
कितनी हंसी है रात, दुल्हन बनी है रात. कितनी हंसी है रात, दुल्हन बनी है रात. मचले हुए जज्बात, बातें जरा होने दो. मुझे प्यार करो, मुझे प्यार करो. प्यार मांगा है तुम्हीं से, ना इनकार करो.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Again, that's another song. It's very similar to Chalte Chalte for me. It's a song that you just know.
Exactly.
From a film that not many people know, from a film called College Girl. And that was before Bappi Da's disco era, 1978, that takes us back to. And I think it's one of those, it does make me think sometimes that if the disco era didn't come into Bollywood, how much more magic would we be able to hear from Bappi Da? How many more melodious tunes like that would we have had? But still, the disco era was a really big thing, and it's given us some great tracks. Bappi Da, one of my favorite films. This is my confession. This is my guilty pleasure. One of my favorite films is Kasam Paida Karne Wali Ki, and partially because of the soundtrack, because it's got such a great soundtrack. All of the songs, Jeena Bhi Kya Hai Jeena, Chum 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 Baba, so many great songs there. So now, Mayuk ji, can we move on to yourself?
Yeah, surely, but it's always a struggle to sing after a lot of good singing, because I don't have any background or anything. But, yeah, I'll sing first Lataji's song, getting the cue from what you said a bit earlier, that classical forms of singing, she just made it accessible and sounded like so easy, but it's not easy at all. So I'll just do that. It's based on this rag called Yaman. Most people know it, but it's quite difficult to sing. but the song definitely everyone knows. नाम गुम जाएगा, चेहरा ये बदल जाएगा, मेरी आवाज ही पहचान है, घर याद रहे, नाम गुम जाएगा, चेहरा ये बदल जाएगा, मेरी आवाज ही पहचान है, घर याद रहे, वक्त के सितम कम हंसी नहीं, आज है यहाँ कल कहीं नहीं, वक्त से परे अगर मिल गए कहीं, मेरी आवाज ही पहचान है, घर याद रहे, ओ नाम गुम जाएगा, चेहरा ये बदल जाएगा, मेरी आवाज ही पहचान है, घर याद रहे. So I'll stop here, but I wonder if she started with Niregama Magare Nidar Niregare Sa, then she'll lose half of the audience. So I think that's really, really great on her part to make it sound so fluid.
Can I just say, before you move on to your next song, I'm so glad you sang that, because I think it's one of the great combinations of Hindi cinema, for me anyway. It's one of my favorite. Gulzar Saab, Lata ji, and R.D. Burman. Earlier, Gargi ji sang a song was composed by S.D. Burman, and now we have one by R.D. Burman. And they just came up with such gems. Aajkal Pao Zami Par, and Is more se jate hai, songs like that. So it's just such a great combination. So I'm really glad that you sang that one.
Bhaskar ji, can I just jump in? I just wanted to say, actually, my you don't need tracks. You're blessed with a beautiful voice.
Agreed. Sorry, I interrupted you then. Sorry, go ahead.
The next one is Bappi style, but I think this is the one which I chose because of it doesn't belong to his disco king category. So I'll sing the first paragraph in Hindi, and as I said, because I was mentioning about this in my introduction, this is the song which I actually heard first time in Bengali. Anyway, let me start. दिल में हो तुम, आँखों में तुम, बोलो तुम्हें कैसे चाहूं, दिल में हो तुम, आँखों में तुम, बोलो तुम्हें कैसे चाहूं, पूजा करूं सजदा करूं, जैसे कहूं वैसे चाहूं, जानू मेरी जानू, जाने जाना जानू. And the Bengali. এত কাছে রয়েছো তুমি, আরো কাছে তোমারে যে চাই, তুমি ছাড়া এমন আপন আমার যে আর কেউ নাই, আমি কি গো তোমাকে ছেড়ে একা একা থাকতে পারি, সঙ্গী আমরা অমর সঙ্গী চিরদিনই তুমি যে আমার যুগে যুগে আমি তোমারি আমি আছি সেই যে তোমার তুমি আছো সেই আমারি সঙ্গী সঙ্গী আমরা অমর সঙ্গী. So thanks to Bapida for creating this, James.
Definitely. That took me back to my childhood at least. I still remember seeing that film as a child on VHS and seeing Prosenjit and Vijayta Pandit in kind of like in the forest singing that song. And like we were saying earlier on in the call, I really think that the Bengali audience at that time, the music that I was seeing in Hindi films growing up from Bapida was very disco orientated. But then the Bengali audience got gems like that, which I think was recreated obviously in Hindi in Satyamev Jayate, maybe the same year, the year after. But really, the impact that it made in Bengal, even now, even every child of Bengal will know the songs of No Omar Shrongi, they'll know Guru Dokina still today. Thank you so much, Mayuk ji. Gurvinder ji.
Hello.
Over to you.
After all these great singers, I feel a bit apprehensive singing, but I'll give it a go. Now, I would like to hone in on Bappi Da, the singer, rather than the music director, because I think one of his many feathers in his cap was that he was a fantastic singer as well.
What a great singer he was.
What a great singer, exactly. And there are songs which I'm due to sing, which I don't think anyone else could have done justice to those songs, which apart from Bappi Da. So the first song I've chosen is from a film, a relatively unknown film called Manukamna, which came out in 1980. The song was actually, well, the music director was Mr. Bappi Lahiri, and the singer also was Mr. Bappi Lahiri, with lyrics by Indivar, one of the great lyricists of Hindi cinema. And it's a, as I say, it's a wonderful song because it's not disco, and it's the words are so simple. But this is the hallmark of geniuses. They simplify everything so that even the common man can understand, and it touches their heart. So here goes. प्यार चाहिए मुझे जीने के लिए तुम्हारा प्यार चाहिए मुझे जीने के लिए मुझको हर घड़ी दीदार चाहिए तुम्हारा प्यार चाहिए मुझे जीने के लिए रूप रंग पर मरता आया सदियों से ये जमाना मैं मन की सुंदरता देखूं प्यार का मैं दीवाना तुम्हारा प्यार चाहिए मुझे जीने के लिए तूफान में बाहों की पतवार चाहिए तुम्हारा प्यार चाहिए मुझे जीने के लिए मेरे सिवा तुम और किसी का दिल में न आने दोगी फूलों की तो बात ही क्या है कांटों के साथ चलोगी तुम्हारा प्यार चाहिए मुझे जीने के लिए, दिन रात वफा का इकरार चाहिए, तुम्हारा प्यार चाहिए, मुझे जीने के लिए, मुझको हर घड़ी दीदार चाहिए, तुम्हारा प्यार चाहिए, मुझे जीने के लिए. So that was my first song by Bappi Da. And it sounds simple, but believe me, obviously I'm not a trained singer, but the way Bappi Da sang it, and he made it look effortlessly easy, it's not. There's quite a number of high ragas which you have to reach, which I find it very difficult as a non-trained singer to reach. But I did have a go at it. So I think this is one of the songs which really struck a chord with my heart when I heard it, and it's remained with me for nearly 40 years, since 1980. The other song which I chose is actually from Disco Dancer, and once again, the composition is by Bappi Lahiri, and it's all the songs of Disco Dancer were super hits, in my humble opinion. But this one, once again, because it was sung by the great Bappi Lahiri himself, I've chosen this song. So here we go. I'm just going to have a sip of water. याद आ रहा है तेरा प्यार, याद आ रहा है तेरा प्यार, कहाँ हम कहाँ तुम, हुए तुम कहाँ गुम, अभी जा एक बार, ओ याद आ रहा है तेरा प्यार, कहाँ हम कहाँ तुम, हुए तुम कहाँ गुम, अभी जा एक बार, ओ याद आ रहा है तेरा प्यार, यारो मैं तो यहाँ गाता रहा, जीता रहा सारे गम दिल के भुला के, देखें तुम्हें सारी खुशी, मैंने यहाँ कुछ भी तो पाया नहीं, सब कुछ पाके मुझको मिली क्या जिंदगी, हो याद आ रहा है तेरा प्यार, कहाँ हम कहाँ तुम, हुए तुम कहाँ तुम, गुम कहाँ तुम, अभी जा एक वक्त, ओ याद आ रहा है तेरा प्यार, ए दिल मैं वही तू वही है ये दुनिया के मेले, बिछड़े वो दिन जाने कहाँ, रूठे सब यहाँ जाने कहाँ, रह गए हम तो अकेले, आवाज दें किसको यहाँ, हो याद आ रहा है तेरा प्यार, कहाँ हम कहाँ तुम, हुए तुम कहाँ गुम, अभी जा एक बार, ओ याद आ रहा है तेरा प्यार, वादा रहा साथी मेरे तेरे लिए गाता चला जाऊं, तू मेरा दिल तू मेरी जान, जीना मेरा जीना यही तेरे लिए जिंदगी लुटाऊं, तू जो नहीं क्या है यहाँ, हो याद आ रहा है तेरा प्यार, कहाँ हम कहाँ तुम, हुए तुम कहाँ गुम, अभी जा एक वक्त, ओ याद आ रहा है तेरा प्यार. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That is actually my favorite song from disco.
Really?
Yeah, I love that song. Like
you can see I couldn't remain seated.
You can't stay still. You can't stay still when you sing. That is the magic of Bhakti.
The power of music. The power of music.
That's indeed. Now, one thing I just want to have a quick chat about is the songs that Bappi and Lataji did together. And if you look at the duo, say compared with Lataji and R.D. Burman, or with Ashaji and Bappi, it's actually a lesser number of songs. There are still some really big songs. Thora Resham Lagta Hai from Jyoti, Naino Mein Sapna from Himmatwala. And, going back to this theme about songs that we didn't necessarily realize, Gori Hai Kalaiya from Aaj Ka Arjun. Again, it's a song that everybody knows, but I don't necessarily associate that with Bappi straight away. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on this, but my personal opinion, and there's nothing to back this up, but I feel that Bappi, I know he had a lot of respect for Lataji, and I feel he only went to her with a song where he really thought, this is a special song, and this is, something that you can really make something out of. Do you guys have any thoughts?
I was just going to comment. I don't have maybe the knowledge that everyone else here in the group has, but from the songs that I've listened to and the movies I've watched, Bappi struck a certain chemistry, say, for example, with Kishorji, and they did a number of wonderful songs together, some of which we've heard today. You mentioned Namak Halal, and it almost was as though he got into a certain groove, and it was like there was a chemistry that was working. And to your point, if the whole disco era hadn't taken off, maybe then he would have ventured down other paths.
Definitely. Govinderji.
Yes, I just wanted to add, Bhaskar, that from what I know about the Hindi industry, it's very sad, but singers were pigeonholed all during the 70s and 80s. They had Lata Mangeshkar singing only and only classically based songs. They had her sister Ashaji singing only disco songs majoritively, which is very sad in my opinion, because I think, as a singer, they had a very wide range. And I think the reason, in my humble opinion, why maybe Bappi didn't do more songs with Lataji is because, there was Bappi being pigeonholed, and for the wrong reasons, as being a disco king, which he wasn't. And this is one of the songs which I sang. It just epitomizes, and the one which Ash sang as well, Chalte Chalte Mere Ye Geet Yaad Rakhna. It just epitomizes that he had such a wide range. But Bollywood likes to pigeonhole people into, she can only sing, Lataji can only sing classical, Bappi is, and so the two poles apart can rarely meet. And that's one of the tragedies, while they didn't, these two geniuses in their own right didn't come together, because the industry stalwarts didn't let them come together, with the exceptions of rare songs like Namak Halal, for example, Kepaga Gunguru Band Mira Najiti. And it's very sad. I think it takes, a certain maturity to appreciate, the wider genius of someone, I think. And I think at the time, the industry was not so mature in its outlook. That's why we had all these masala films from, the directors like, what's his name? Many directors, and I think it's very unfortunate, but, yeah, that's my point.
No, I agree. But even with those sort of masala, if you want to call it masala films, I think Bappi really struck a great rapport with Prakash Mehra. Some of the songs that he had created, Sharabi Manzile Apni Jagah.
That's such an awesome song, and I was just going to say, Bhaskar, if you permit me, that it's such an amazing song, and if anyone maybe want to have a go at singing that song, because it's such an awesome song, time permitting. But yes, exactly, very, very, very well said.
Is anybody ready to take that song on?
I can sing a lyric, a first verse, if you want me to, but I don't want to hog the limelight when other people are there. So please, if anyone wants to sing, please go ahead.
Please, Gravinder, go ahead.
Okay, so मंजिलें अपनी जगह है, रास्ते अपनी जगह, मंजिलें अपनी जगह हैं, रास्ते अपनी जगह, पर कदम जब साथ ना दे तो मुसाफिर क्या करे। यूं तो है हम दर्द भी और हम सफर भी है मेरा, यूं तो है हम दर्द भी और हम सफर भी है मेरा, बर के कोई हाथ ना दे दिल भला फिर क्या करे। मंजिलें अपनी जगह हैं, रास्ते अपनी जगह. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
That was obviously a
So
film
I
that
like to sing song composed by Bappi Da and sung by Lata ji, and it was a wonderful song. It's my personal favorite.
please do.
So जिद ना करो अब तो रुको, ये रात नहीं आएगी, माना अगर कहना मेरा तुमको वफा आ जाएगी, जिद ना करो अब तो रुको, जिसको हम कहते हैं सुकून. काइंड ऑफ जस्ट देयर इज नो वर्ड्स, मैंने हम इसके लिए इसको सुकून कहते हैं कि अब यू जस्ट फेल फॉर इट. सो ये गाना ऐसा ही है. आई सपोज कि जब भी हम सुनते हैं इट्स मिरेकल, मैंने काइंड ऑफ जो बप्पी दा ने क्रिएट कर दिया एंड लता जी ने गा दिया. सो एक वुड लाइक टू सिंग वन मोर आउट ऑफ इट, एंड दैट्स तुझसे नाराज नहीं जिंदगी, बिकॉज आई थिंक इट्स अ वंडरफुल सॉन्ग लता जी का. इसके बिना मतलब हम लोग ये गाना ऐसा लगता है कि लता जी इट वाज मेड फॉर हर ओनली, एंड सो वुड लाइक टू सिंग दैट सॉन्ग.
बिल्कुल, प्लीज.
तुझसे नाराज नहीं जिंदगी, हैरान हूँ मैं, हो हैरान हूँ मैं, तेरे मासूम सवालों से परेशान हूँ मैं, हो परेशान हूँ मैं, जीने के लिए सोचा ही नहीं, दर्द संभालने होंगे, मुस्कुराए गए मुस्कुराने के कर्ज उतारने होंगे, हो मुस्कुराऊं कभी तो लगता है जैसे होठों पे कोई कर्ज रखा है, तुझसे नाराज नहीं जिंदगी, हैरान हूँ मैं, हो हैरान हूँ मैं. एंड आई थिंक लग जा गले के बिना, सो लता मंगेशकर जी का हम दिस सॉन्ग इज काइंड ऑफ की उनके बिना सोची मैंने आता ही नहीं है कुछ भी याद. लता मंगेशकर जी ये लता मंगेशकर आ गए लग जा गले. सो जस्ट 2 lines from that. लग जा गले कि फिर हंसी रात हो न हो, शायद फिर इस जन्म में मुलाकात हो न हो, लग जा गले कि फिर ये हंसी रात हो न हो, शायद फिर इस जन्म में मुलाकात हो न हो, लग जा गले से. मेरे ख्याल से हर कोई हर जन्म में लता जी से तो मिलेंगे ही, हम रहे ना रहे लता जी हमेशा रहेंगी.
Bilkul, Bilkul. I think these songs are just eternal, and I think we're running out of time, unfortunately, so that's probably a great place to end with a bit of a medley from Gargiji of Lataji's, some of her greatest tunes. I just want to finish this off with a couple of quotes, one for each of the artists. Vishal Dadlani, the music director, who's part of Vishal Shekhar, worked quite extensively with Bappi Da in the later careers. Obviously, they were the music directors for Ulala, which Aman mentioned earlier. And he tweeted on Bappi Da's passing, he tweeted, "Kisi nazar ko tera intezar aaj bhi hai. Manzile apni jagah hai, raaste apni jagah. Chalte chalte mera ye geet yaad rakhna." Bappi Da was a very underrated musical legend. He was far more intricate a composer than merely the disco king everyone loved to refer him as. Which I think that tweet really struck a chord with me because it's so true. And the quote that I've got for Lataji is a lot more simple, but it summarizes it perfectly. It was by Ustad Bare Ghulam Ali Khan Sahab, and he'd once said about Lataji, "Kambakht kabhi besuri nahi hoti," which I think just is a perfect summary, which is so true, so true. So on that note, I'd like to thank all of you, Gargi ji, Gurvinder ji, Mayuk ji, Ashish ji, and Aman. Thank you all for taking the time out to speak with us today and take us down memory lane with the stories and the songs. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you too, Bhaskar ji. It was wonderful hearing you.
Yeah. Thank you, Bhaskar ji.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.